Hello guys. So I had a Triumph and I wasn't too I wasn't too interested in it. Not my style of bike. Not a good bike for someone who, well, not a good bike for someone who likes to go fast. So I found this 1979 Sportster 1100cc that I just had to have. Now, some may say, oh, a Sportster, why the fuck would you buy a Sportster? Those are pussy bikes. Yeah, well, back in the 70s, they were hot shit. They were some of the better bikes, well, in my opinion, and a lot of old Harley riders' opinions. And I was on my way home, and I had two Harley guys and a Triumph rider pull up next to me and say, this is a nice, sexy bike, and it'll be really nice all fixed up. What really drew me to this bike is my my neighbor across the street growing up, by the name of Kevin, had 30 some odd motorcycles. 20 were Harleys, or no, I think 19 were Harleys, 10 were Indians, and he had one Triumph in the mix. So somewhere around those numbers. And this was the bike that stood out the most. I've been looking for one for a very long time, and I finally got my hands on one. Granted, on these, when you do the highway peg, blah blah blah, you have a brake booster that hangs down and gets ground down. So I'm gonna have to move this. I'm thinking I might invert it upside down and have this down here, because having it like this means to keep this piece from coming out when you accelerate, you gotta keep your foot on it. And by foot on it, I mean you ride like that. And then another thing about these old Harleys is the absolutely wonderful shifter way up high that you have to take your foot off to shift. But what made me actually pop on it was I've never seen a bike, or an old Harley with that, and at least one of these still working. I've never seen that. I've also never seen blinkers up top that work, front and back, on both sides. Now, here we go. That's all I'm going to do right now, because the neighbors have kids that have school tomorrow. But here's my new bike. The clutch is bad, which some people might say, why'd you trade a running bike for a bike with a bad clutch? Well, it had a good clutch. I had to take all this apart and replace the clutch lever, or the clutch cables, as well as some of the internals right there that went bad, or not went bad, but were bad. And then I didn't put enough oil in it, and in my happy high state I was in, high from getting my favorite bike, I forgot to stop and add more oil and fried the clutch. So there will be more coming on this bike in the near future. So peace out, and build you some ratty rat bikes.